We couldn't find any drugs, so we went to the 7-Eleven and bought whippets and just got really high because there was nothing else to do. And you know, that's like, I don't know, I'd rather be writing new music now, or you know, doing things like that to take you into the future instead of just keep you like, you know, orbiting the same planet.
It's like, it's kind of random. It sort of sounded good, and you know, found this guy named Shaka Zulu, and it's sort of, we were just talking about how the fact that Shaka meant bastard, basically, and so it basically transcribes into bastard rock. But we like the whole story about this guy who, you know, was illegitimate and, you know, looked down upon, and then became like this sort of, you know, the king of them all, you know what I mean? So it came from humble origins, sort of thing. You know, we like that sort of, the idea of that, and yeah, it sounded good, and it sort of went well with, you know, the idea of the truck and things. So we knew it would be written on the side of a burning truck. We sort of needed something that would sort of jump out enough. You know, you can't write Twilight melodies on the side of a burning truck, can you?
I guess one of the things that one of the certainties before we started, you know, the Shaka Rock project was the knowledge that whatever we were going to co-produce it with someone, and we made a few sort of attempts, and then we settled on Chris, we'd come across him in London years earlier, and we knew that he had a studio, and we knew he'd worked with the Danny Warhols, and we knew that we knew what kind of guy he was, you know, and he happened to be available, and his studio happens to be in Austin, Texas, which we're big fans of that city, and I guess everything was right, you know.
It's kind of complicated sometimes because we're kind of democratic in the way that we write and play music, but sometimes, certain times, someone's got a song brought in, and they may, for whatever reason, they may have almost finished it, or you can tell they feel strongly about it and they've written it. And therefore, in those songs, you kind of treat them slightly differently, you know, like we almost, as a band, will accompany the person's idea, whereas other songs sort of like, we come in with a few ideas and everyone just sort of mucks in, and we write it together and figure out the form together just by sort of playing it and just playing through it, and everyone's excited by that as well.
There's a couple of things that we use, yeah, as, you know, maybe like on the Japanese version of the record. And then, you know, there's always stuff that gets left on the cutting room floor, and just things that for one reason or another never sort of found their way to the end, you know, songs that were really good, and for whatever reason we just sort of got sick of toying around with it or whatever and left it on the pile. So we'll probably go back to that stuff in the future. We did a little bit of going back to stuff with this album, actually. Like a couple of the songs were really late from Shine On. It didn't quite make the cut, and then they just felt right to do on this record. So
Black Hearts on Fire was one of those songs.
Yeah, Beat on Repeat.
Beat on Repeat, that's right, yeah. Black Hearts, as we mentioned earlier, was a song that was written during the Shine On writing process, and for whatever reason we just didn't quite finish it in time, or I don't remember exactly what happened, but maybe it just didn't quite fit the mood of that body of work. And when we started writing for this album, you know, it's kind of useful to have a few spare things hanging around, because sometimes you hit a wall, and just to keep the vibe up, you might pull something out from the past and revisit it, and it becomes fun again. And we put a little twist on it. That sort of falsetto bit was a new concept that we added for this album, and I guess when it came down to singing it, it was really fun to try a slightly different approach than where we left it off in Shine On, and just having a bit more sort of fun and spitting things out, and a bit sort of tongue in cheek, you know. That was the whole purpose and intent on that song. I've thought a lot about this, and I think probably the clearest answer to this is I mean, this band was built on a friendship that began when we were 16 years old, and although there have been some really trying moments, I'd have to say that for me anyway, that honouring that is one thing that kept me coming back, you know.